day. The two other things I want to touch on really are they both have HTML web clients. They both work pretty well. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned this in part one, the HTC client I think is a step up from the Gmail, the standard Android Gmail web email client, which I really do not like very much. HTC's mail client is a little bit nicer. The Palm Pre mail client works well, as well. I think it's kind of a push between the two, just, different looks and feels to the two things. For messaging and emails and stuff, keyboards, the Pre has, this keyboard, which for me is too small, but it is a physical keyboard, and you can kind of get used to it, but for me it's just way too small. As at this point, there is no virtual keyboard, so if you're, say, browsing a web page and you're in widescreen mode, there's no way to enter anything without opening the keyboard, and then, you can type sideways if you can, or rotating it. As of right now, there is no widescreen keyboard officially available. On the Android, if we go into the browser on the Hero, that is, you've got the Android stock keyboard, but by default, you've got HTC's keyboard, which is a little bit nicer. I think it's a terrific virtual QWERTY board. I went over this in the Hero iPhone Dogfight. I think, not worrying about the hardware in terms of the size of the screen, I think this is the best virtual keyboard that I've ever used. There may be some out there that I haven't used for sure, but I think it just works really, really well. And what I like about it is that, so you can go, landscape or portrait mode. So we'll go into landscape mode here. We'll rotate the phone. A little bit of a lag with the Hero doing some things. HTC is working on a software update to optimize and speed things up. Hopefully that'll be out by the time Hero drops in the United States on Sprint, which is rumored for October 11th. Don't know if that's true. That's the rumor. Hopefully we'll see it at CTIA in San Diego starting October 6th. We'll be there live covering it for you. Anyway, so here's the HTC keyboard, and what's nice about this is the Hero's multi-touch, so you can type multi-touch, and virtual keyboards work better on multi-touch than single touch, especially if you do two-thumb typing like I always try to. But it works well. You get haptic feedback when you type, and then so here in the web mode, when I'm typing in the URL, it gives me a history of other websites I may have visited already that match. But if I go back to we'll go back to messaging here for a second, and I'll show you that way. So here, I'll go to the messaging client, and I'll turn it widescreen, and I'll go to type something in. And so as I'm typing, I get the HTC autocomplete system, which is kind of a variation on the stock Android system. And I think it's terrific, because as you're typing, you get autocomplete suggestions. And the green one is the one that it thinks is the best match, but then it shows you the other ones as well. It's very easy to choose. You can ignore it. You can choose what's in there. You can go and see the whole thing, all of them at once. You can use the trackball to scroll through them. A lot of different options. What I also like about it, though, is that, let's make up a word here. Quickness. Okay, it's not going to, let me start again. So if I type in a word that it doesn't know, like the quickness, it'll show it as an option. And if I choose the option, it'll save it for me to the custom dictionary, which is terrific if you like to use, made-up words or names or things that aren't in the dictionary. It's a great system, and this is not a comparison to the iPhone, but the iPhone being, the other, I think, really good multi-touch virtual keyboard on the market, this system's much better than iPhone, I think. That being said, the keyboard, the screen is a little tiny bit small for two-thumb typing, but you can get used to it pretty easily. Works very well, haptic feedback, if you want it. So I think keyboard-wise, it's kind of a push because you've got the physical keyboard on Pre, which is great. I prefer physical keyboards, but it's a little on the small side, and as of right now, there is no virtual keyboard for use in widescreen mode. Whereas with the Hero, it's not a physical keyboard, so a small deduction from that, but it's the best virtual keyboard out there, but the screen is just a tiny, tiny bit smaller than I'd like it to be for typing. So I think it comes out being a push. And also, the Hero, I think if that rumored software update, well, it's not rumored, HTC has said they're working on it. So if it turns out to be really good and it speeds things up, that'll make the Hero even better, including the virtual keyboard. So, if and when that comes out, Hero might get the edge with the virtual keyboard. So we'll go back now and we will look at the web browser, since we're talking about that a little bit. And I will load up the same site on both phones. So we'll load up, usually we use PhoneDog. You guys know about PhoneDog. If you don't, you should know about it. It's the site I work for. It's terrific. You should go check it out. And you might even be able to win a free phone while you're there. So there you go. There's my little plug. And so we'll load that up. Both phones have Wi-Fi. Hero, as of right now, is unlocked European 3G only, no 3G in the United States. And so the site loads up. Both browsers, I think, are good. Both browsers need some refinement. I would like to see, I mean, obviously, Flash support would be great. And oh, wait, Hero has Flash support. We'll show you that in a second. I'd like to see better handling of RSS feeds inline. I would like to see the pre-bookmarking system is kind of neat, and I think it's good for, like, you know, kind of the average consumer sort of thing. For the power user, I don't know it. I don't like it because what winds up happening is that, well, here, before I get to that, I'll show you. You got multi-touch support on both devices. You can pinch and zoom in, and you can scroll around and all that, and it shows you up on top here with the pre what you're looking at, the title of the page. You can go back and you can refresh, and it's pretty easy to, you know, go in and click on links and that kind of thing. And then you can use the zoom bar or your buttons there, or the gesture bar or your buttons there to do things. Here's the bookmarking area I was talking about. We'll get to that in a second. With the Hero, you can also do multi-touch. You can zoom in or out. You know, a little tiny bit of a lag, like I was talking about. They're working on optimizations. Even now, it's not really that bad, but they are working on optimizations. You can also use the trackball to scroll around, which I think is nice. Some people are just going to prefer the trackball, especially for one-handed use. And so there you go. So with the Hero, when you're browsing a web page, there's nothing on the screen, but you hit Menu, and then you get your options. Back, forward, new bookmark, look at your bookmarks, Windows, which is like multiple tabs, and More. And then you go to More, and you get all this other information as well. We'll go back while this is loading, or while this is rather, what I'll do is I will load up my friend Megadug's site and see how it handles his Flash content. So we'll let that load. Meantime, here on the pre, we'll look at bookmarks. And so this is how it shows you your visual bookmarks here. And that's kind of cool. It's cool to see the little thumbnail of the site, or, you know, the favicon or whatever. But I personally would rather have just a big old list of bookmarks, because it just lets me see, you know, more data on the screen at once. But that's just me. You know, that's how it is. What's nice about the pre, it's not really a big deal, just, you know, minor personal thing, just to mention. What's nice about the pre, though, is that from the home screen, you can just start typing, and universal search, so it'll give me contacts, and then once I get through, you know, PhoneDog, looking at contacts and stuff, now it'll take me to the web, and I can search for PhoneDog.com on Google Maps, Wikipedia, Twitter, or just go to the site. And that is pretty cool. Really nice universal search, integrated not only with the web, but also some popular websites, social networks, that kind of thing. The PhoneDog site on the pre. It's rendered faithfully. It looks great. We can go widescreen mode. The pre, a little bit snappier response time than the Hero. On the Hero, if we look at bookmarks, visual bookmarks, just like the pre. Or I can go list and just get a list of bookmarks. So that, you know, minor thing, but I prefer that system of bookmarks a little bit better because it gives me the option. So let's go to Megadug. Let's see how the Hero handles Megadug's Flash games. So let's check out Schoolyard Bully, one of my all-time favorite online games. You've probably never heard of it, but you should go play it because it's awesome. And this is Flash. And this is loading. Now it looks like the Flash content, I guess I can't multi-touch to zoom in and out. Now this is interesting though, because this game requires the use of a keyboard on the computer. So the content is loading and working. It's just it doesn't have input controls because it's not optimized for a phone. But there you go. That's Flash content. It's working. We'll go to another Flash. You should really check that game out, though. Megadug.com, Schoolyard Bully. It is an awesome game. All right, and so this last part of the video, last part of the dogfight here, is going to talk a little more about the future of both of these phones, both of the platforms, the WebOS OS on the Pre and the Android OS on the Hero, than necessarily about the phones themselves. And so basically, you know, the deal with smartphones these days, apps are all the rage. And it's you know, in some ways it's just kind of trendy, but also it's really, you know, the apps on a phone can really extend the life of the device, just like they do on a computer. You know, the smartphones are becoming more and more like computers all the time, and particularly in the sense that you get a piece of hardware and then you can do more and more with it, so long as there's access to more and more software for it. The Palm WebOS is just a terrific mobile operating system, has a lot going for it. The multitasking is great. The user interface is beautiful and easy to use and fun and everything. There are not very many apps. The app catalog is still in beta. There are like 30-some apps for it. You know, frankly, I'm not all that taken with that many of them. You know, some of them are kind of cool, but there aren't that many yet. And it's still in beta. There's not yet a released way to pay for apps, so there are no, you know, pay apps, which is really what's going to drive development of apps when people can make money off of them. And you've seen that in the Apple App Store for the iPhone OS. Android market's been around for longer. There are more apps. There are paid apps. There are better apps, but you know, not yet anywhere near again the maturity of, let alone iPhone. You know, platforms that have been around for a while, like Symbian or Windows Mobile or BlackBerry, that have just tons and tons of apps. So this is where you're talking about the future of the platform. And you know, if you were going to buy one of these devices right now for the apps, it's a no-brainer. The Hero, there's just a lot more going for it. Just more apps and more apps that are good. But both phones, both platforms have kind of robust homebrew scenes going on. So kind of like jailbreaking an iPhone, you're not necessarily limited to what's available in the official store if you're willing to do a little bit of tinkering and, you know, kind of minor hacking. I'm not going to get into all the apps here. It's a separate thing. You know, separate app reviews take forever to go through the apps. But basically, a big nod to, you know, Hero in terms of available apps. If you have a Pre, if you get a Pre, I would strongly suggest looking into how to enable homebrew app installation, because it's very easy. It's almost like Palm kind of wanted you to do it. It's like a cheat code for a video game. And it's easy to do, and then you can manually download apps, or you can install this program called File Coaster. And File Coaster lets you install the apps. So here's the homebrew list, or you can do a direct download. And you go to the homebrew list, and you have a list of, you know, apps you can download. It's like if you use an iPhone, it's like Cydia for the iPhone, kind of. Except it seems to be sort of unofficially more okay with Palm than jailbreaking is with Apple. And so there's an app that I downloaded from here, which is a Twitter app. And so you've got, here's Tweed, which is the official Twitter app that's available in the Palm app catalog. And I have just never been all that, I don't know, I just don't like it all that much. It's fine, but it's not really all that great. I don't like the user interface, et cetera, et cetera. This hasn't been upgraded, or updated rather, in quite a while. But if we go to Twee, which is a homebrew Twitter app, you'll just get a quick example of what people are doing kind of behind the scenes in Palm homebrew app development. It's just much more sophisticated. You know, you've got the bottom menu system that lets you have different views of your Twitter stream and your data, and it works really well, and it just does a lot more, and the user interface, I think, is nicer. And you know, this is something that people are doing sort of, somebody did unauthorized. You know, it's not available yet on the App Store, but it gives me a lot of hope that when Palm gets the app catalog out of beta, and they're selling, that when Palm gets the app catalog out of beta, and they're actually selling apps and enabling developers to make money off of the apps, and they'll be driving more development. And when they have more web OS devices out there, the app catalog, there's a lot of potential for it because, it's a really user-friendly piece of hardware. Web OS is very user-friendly and it's made for apps. It's made for multitasking. And so that's kind of the final comment, which is that, again, I started this video off by saying this is a potential preview of Sprint's top 2 phones this fall, because Pre's already on Sprint. Hero is all but confirmed to be coming to Sprint this fall. But we should see many more Android devices hit the market this fall, and hopefully more Palm WebOS devices hit this fall and into next year, and on other carriers, both in the US and globally as well. And that's the thing with these platforms, is that the more devices there are, the more interest there'll be, the more users, and the greater the likelihood you'll get more apps and better apps and more innovative and useful apps. And that'll, draw more users, and that'll cause Palm and Google to keep making the operating systems better and churning out better hardware, and et cetera, and just growth of the platform. And that's where, buying a Pre is not just about now, but about the potential of it, and the same with the Android. So in conclusion, this dogfight, just based on the phones themselves, not worrying about the network or imagining that there's a Sprint version of Hero, I would go with Hero instead, because I like the hardware better. I love the widgets on the HTC Sense UI, and the whole Android widget system I think is terrific. And I just kind of, dig the phone a little better, and the widescreen keyboard. But honestly, I think they're both excellent devices. They're among, maybe the top 5 smartphones available in the world right now, in my opinion. And they both have a lot going for them. I think the Pre is maybe a little more appealing to kind of the average user. The Hero and the Android platform, a little more appealing to kind of the more hardcore or business user, or the geek in particular. So there you go. It's the epic dogfight. It honestly, I would call it a virtual draw, because there's just so much good going for both of them. It's hard to pick a clear winner, and they are a little bit different. The Palm Pre for Sprint, the HTC Hero, this is the unlocked version, but we may be seeing it coming to the US on Sprint right now. It's available in parts of Europe already on various carriers, so check that out. In the meantime, thank you so much to the folks at HTC for loaning us the Hero. And Palm lent us a Pre way back when, but this one we actually bought, so we'd have one on hand to be able to bring you videos like this. Till next time, I'm Noah from PhoneDog.com. Thank you so much for watching. Much more on both of these devices on PhoneDog.com. DroidDog.com is coming, the all-Android site. So it's a new PhoneDog. We're launching some new sites, and DroidDog is going to be the first one of them, to check that out. And of course, whatever gets launched this fall at CTIA in October, anywhere else, we'll be there bringing it to you. So stay tuned to PhoneDog.com for all your phone needs. Till next time, I'm Noah. Thank you so much for watching. And you can follow me on Twitter right there. That's me. Is the camera going to zoom, or am I too close up? There it is. PhoneDog Noah, at PhoneDog Noah. See? That's me. You can follow me. Bye-bye.